Okay, let's get the ball rolling. Welcome to the Direct Air Capture Pilot Prize Phase 1 informational webinar. Excited to talk to you about this new program. I'm Eli Kane, I'm at NREL, and I'm joined by two of my colleagues over at FeCM, Aiden Preston and Rory Jacobson. We'll walk you through high level what the rules say, what to expect, how to enter, how to compete, all the fun stuff you need to know in order to participate in the prize. But a few quick housekeeping items before we do that. First one is we will not be answering questions during today's webinar, but if you have them, please put them into the Q&A so that we can address them in the HeroX forum later. If you have any technical issues, shoot us a message. We'll make sure that we answer those. And we are recording this webinar, and we'll put a version of the recording on HeroX in the coming weeks. I just want to provide a little guidance on Q&A before we jump into it. There are some questions we just can't answer. Doesn't mean you can't ask them, but we can answer. Is my company eligible? We don't provide case-by-case determinations on your company's eligibility. And what would make our submission stronger? We also do not provide guidance on what you should or should not include and what makes a strong application versus a not strong application. So we can't answer those types of questions. What we can do is provide clarification on what is written in the rules, what timelines are, what the submission requirements are for this program, those types of questions. So please, we tried really hard when we wrote these rules, but maybe we made a mistake. So please, if there are clarifications you need, let us know. We're always happy to answer those. The best place to do that is in the HeroX forum, or if you already have them, to put them in the Q&A. So please do that. We'll be as responsive as we can. Here's a quick little overview of today's agenda. I'm going to start with an overview on the American-made program and what prizes are. We'll talk through FeCM's mandate and why we launched the DAC Pilot Prize, go through some of the rules, and then talk about next steps. So just a quick little overview on the American-made program. The DAC Pilot Prize is one of the prizes that were done in collaboration between FeCM and the American-made program at NREL, which includes over $400 million worth of prizes and over 80 different prizes. So you're familiar with some of them, a part of the CDR suite, like the pre-commercial DAC Pilot Prize and the commercial CDR Purchase Pilot Prize, but there are over 80 others. So please look into the other opportunities there. As the name implies, the DAC Pilot Prize is a prize and not a FOA. And I want to highlight this because most people are familiar with the FOA process as they get government funding. But the DAC Pilot Prize is a prize. And the key distinction between a FOA and a prize is kind of the order of operations. So a FOA is a promise of future work and then payment for that work done. You say, here's what I want to do. You're selected to do that work, and then you're reimbursed when the work is completed. So that's not what happens in a prize. A prize is reward for work already completed. So you begin work today, you do that work, and then we say, great job, you've done the work, you're selected, and we pay you for that work. So the order of operations is a little different, but the outcome is the same. We pay you for the work you've done.
Okay, let's dive into FeCM and the commercial DAC prize. So FeCM is the Department of Energy's Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management. This name change from FE to FeCM reflects a new vision supporting major Biden-Harris administration goals, such as cutting emissions in half by the end of the decade and reaching net zero by this century's midpoint. To achieve these goals, FeCM prioritizes the carbon management portfolio to decarbonize our economy, while also focusing on the advancement of justice, labor, and engagement. Within that carbon management portfolio lies the CDR program. CDR includes both natural and engineered approaches to capture CO2 directly from the atmosphere or oceans, and to couple that capture with secure, durable storage. And FeCM supports the entire spectrum of CDR pathways, from direct air capture, like this prize is focused on, to enhanced mineralization, biomass, and carbon removal and storage. We are pathway agnostic in our support, and we have our programs support each pathway. Some key evaluation criteria in the CDR program are to lower cost, to ensure that the removals are additional, high permanence, project net negativity, as well as robust monitoring, reporting, and verification. CDR is one part, supports the carbon negative shot. Some of the carbon negative shots key performance elements guide a responsible industry that is responsive to the climate crisis, such that multiple true durable removal pathways can be deployed at their most affordable cost at the scale required to address the climate crisis. So the goal is to enable less than $100 per net metric ton of CO2 removal, paired with robust accounting for life cycle emissions and high quality MMRV. So some pathways have high costs associated with the capture. Some pathways have high costs associated with ensuring durable storage. FeCM has offered a suite of prizes that have been funded through Section 41005 A and B of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the pre-commercial EPIC and Tech prizes, as well as the commercial CDR Purchase Pilot Prize, and now this commercial Direct Air Capture Pilot Prize, which offers a total prize purse of $52.5 million, and applications are due February 7th. So without further ado, let's dive into this Direct Air Capture Pilot Prize. Direct air capture can be defined as the use of carbon capture equipment to capture CO2 directly from the ambient air. For this prize, the technology must chemically or physically separate CO2 from the ambient air, not a point source, without the use of photosynthesis using a mechanical air contactor. Some examples of direct air capture approaches on the right using sorbents or solvents. Those are just a few of the examples. We welcome submissions from the entire range of direct air capture. The Direct Air Capture Prize is addressing a market need to provide catalytic support for DAC pilots that have exceeded the technology readiness levels eligible for those pre-commercial DAC prizes, but that have not yet reached the demonstration or de-risking levels to be deployed in our regional DAC Hubs program. We're bridging the gap between the pre-commercial DAC and DAC Hubs program funding. The mechanism is a prize that will strengthen the industry by providing this intermediate support mechanism. Again, the prize mechanism, as Eli mentioned, it funds competitors for work that has already been completed. And the phased approach that this prize will take enables engineering studies through the commercial operation and demonstration of these DAC pilots. Intended outcomes, we're hoping to support the construction and operation of 4 DAC pilot facilities. We want to de-risk these first-of-a-kind DAC technologies, provide additional financial incentives to teams that durably sequester CO2 in the fourth phase, and last, secure additional equity and project finance investment for these prize winners. So as I alluded to, there will be 4 phases of the prize. The first is a concept phase in which competitors will submit pilot concept and a pre-feed study. There will be up to 5 winners and a $500,000 cash prize per winner. The second phase, teams will submit a front-end engineering and design study. Again, 5 winners, up to $4 million cash prize per winner. Both phase 1 and phase 2 will be open to the entire field. However, after phase 2, there will be a down select, wherein only the 5 winners of phase 2 may compete in phases 3 and 4, which will come with a $1 million cash prize and then up to $6.5 million. If you complete the full range and maximize your capture and sequestration in phase 4, you can win up to $12 million. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the rules. To see the full rules document, they are on the HeroX webpage. I encourage everyone to read them in their entirety. Some submission requirements. The prize administrator must conclude that all of the statements are true when applied to your submission. The proposed technology and associated pilot must be first of a kind. The technology must chemically or physically separate CO2 from ambient air without the use of photosynthesis using a mechanical air contactor. The proposed pilot cannot involve point-source carbon capture. Teams must have performed integrative testing on the DAC technology at a scale not less than 1 ton of CO2 per year, but also not greater than 100 tons CO2 per year. And they must have operated those tests for at least 500 hours. The proposed DAC pilot must operate at a scale equal to or greater than 500 tons per year. The proposed DAC technology must have achieved a TRL of at least 4. The proposed solution must demonstrate the ability to scale a DAC technology to help achieve DOE's carbon negative shot. And finally, well, not finally, because there are actually additional submission requirements in the rules document, but finally for this slide, the proposed DAC pilot system must not present extreme schedule risk, budget risk, technical risk, societal impact risk, and/or environmental risk. To stress this one eligibility criterion, teams must not have performed integrated testing at a scale less than 1 ton of CO2 per year or greater than 100. So hopefully you're in that sweet spot between 1 and 100 tons, and you're ready to scale up to this commercial pilot stage. As I mentioned earlier, phase 1 is open to private entities, non-federal government entities such as states, counties, tribes, municipalities, as well as academic institutions. The entities must be incorporated in and maintain a primary business in the United States. The academic institutions must be based in the U.S. Individuals competing as part of an incorporated private entity may participate if they are legally allowed to work in the United States. We are open to receiving waiver requests if you do not meet those criteria, but you otherwise meet the eligibility requirements. You are incorporated in and maintain a primary place of business in the U.S., and you submit a compelling justification. Now, phase 2 is also open to all of those teams that meet the above criteria, regardless of whether you submitted a phase 1 submission package or won a prize. That also is important to stress here that winning a phase 1 prize does not confer any advantage in the phase 2 competition. Phase 1 is open to everybody. Phase 2 is also open to everybody. And now there will be a down select after phase 2, where phase 2 winners will compete in phase 3. They will be down selected from 5 eligible teams to 4, and then those 4 teams may be eligible to compete in phase 4. Important dates. The submission deadline for phase 1 is February 7, 2025. And then phase 2 is anticipated to open in June of 2025 and close a year later in 2026. If you do not anticipate participating in phase 1, you may prepare your phase 2 application now and be ready for that submission opening date. Phases 3 and 4 are expected to run from 2026 to 2030. Some phase 1 requirements. We are asking that competitors design a DAC Pilot Prize concept paper, including the proposed technology, data for the project, and a pre-feed study for the proposed first-of-a-kind DAC pilot system. The package will include that concept paper, a complete pre-feed study, as well as a pre-feed study summary and accompanying data. The full pre-feed study will be used by the review panel to corroborate any claims made in the concept paper, where the pre-feed study summary will allow for the protection of proprietary information that is contained in the pre-feed study, but it still should comprehensively cover the non-proprietary information in the full pre-feed. The pre-feed study summary will be made public to further data sharing and to support the development of the DAC industry. All of the information identified as will be made public may be made public. That is a condition of the prize competition. You can find rubrics at the end of each phase rules section, and you can see the weighting for each of those components. Any incomplete scores will likely prevent you from winning the award. For instance, here, the pre-feed study, again, I mentioned it will be used to corroborate a lot of the the data that is presented in the other components. If that was marked incomplete, you would likely be unable to win a phase 1 award. You'd likely be disqualified from competition. Further, to make this easy for every competitor and to lower the barrier to participation, you can consider these rubrics at the end of the rules document to be a guide to completing a high quality application. You can see each of the criteria that will be scored in each of the subcategories of your submission package. So it's important to check that you are satisfying each statement made in the rubric before you click submit, so that you are not getting a 0 in any section and then losing credit for those sections. And I will hand the microphone back to my colleague Eli.
Okay, let's quickly talk about HeroX and next steps, just so everyone's aware of what to do. It's quite easy to enter this. Go to the DAC Pilot Prize website that we've linked below, click on Solve This Challenge. It'll prompt you to make a HeroX account. If you already have one from participation in a different prize, that's fine. You can use the same one. If you have not made an account previously, make an account for your company. Don't make an account for your person. So make an account for your company. And then when you do submit, make sure that your company's name is in the submission title. In other words, make sure it's as easy as possible for us to know who you are and what you've done. But it all starts on HeroX by clicking Solve This Challenge. And here's a link to that. As Aiden mentioned, and I want to reiterate and underline in red pen, please read the rules. We spent months and months and months writing them. We wrote them very intentionally. Almost everything you need to know is in that rules document. So please read it back and forth. If you have questions on it, let us know. But a great place to start is reading that rules document. And your phase 1 submission, the date you should underline on your calendar, is February 7th, 2025. That is a hard deadline. We will not accept applications on February 8th, February 7th by 5 p.m. EST. Or, as Aiden mentioned, if you are participating in phase 2 and not phase 1, we anticipate that will open around June 2025. So those are kind of the 2 deadlines to keep in mind. I'm going to stay on the line here for a little while longer. So if you do have questions, please put them into the Q&A box and we'll make sure to address those in the coming weeks. But we are really excited to have you participate in this prize and can't wait to see what you do. Thank you so much.